Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lisa Aguirre and I'm the Product Manager of Dental Solutions here at Roland DGSHAPE Americas. Today we're excited and we're eager to talk about how to transform your dental practice in a day with Roland DGA's DGSHAPE DWX42W Chairside Milling Solution. Before I introduce our first speaker today, just a reminder that we do ask that you save all questions for the live Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So let's get started. First up today, I have Dr. Tina Ramirez of KW Dental in Ontario, Canada. Dr. Ramirez is a graduate of the prestigious NYU College of Dentistry and here today to tell us a little bit about her experience with the DWX42W Chairside Milling Solution, as well as how it's not only helped her to provide better restorative care to her patients, but better overall dental care to her patients. So without further ado, I give you Dr. Tina Ramirez and our very own Christopher Cicero, Canadian Sales Manager for Roland DGA DGSHAPE Americas.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. As mentioned, I have the pleasure of Dr. Ramirez joining me here today to share her experience about CAD/CAM. As some of you might know, she's definitely not new to CAD/CAM. Dr. Ramirez, you have lots of experience, I've learned. So why don't you tell us about some of the tools in your digital workflow?
Yeah, so I have, I've only been, actually, I graduated in 2018, so I haven't been in practice for too long, but I have a Trio scanner. It's the 3-shape scanner, and I have the Roland mill.
Awesome. So what benefits would you say bringing milling in-house has brought to your practice?
I feel like I could honestly talk about this forever because it's changed a lot. So I think the first thing, and you always hear sales reps kind of talking to you about this, they talk about productivity. And the most obvious example of it is that lab bill. So, if you're thinking, at least in my area, maybe just a basic single unit crown would cost about $350 to $375 to the lab. And now that price is obviously kind of dissipated because each block is about $50 bucks, $70 bucks, if you do the math. So that's a really obvious example. And that's one that sales reps always brought to me. And I think there's a lot more to the productivity it's brought than just that. And there were ways that I couldn't really predict at the time before trying to decide if I'm going to be getting into kind of CAD/CAM technology and in-house milling. So I think a big thing for me has been case acceptance. So I've sold more crowns in the past, like since getting the mill, than I did before. It was a really noticeable increase. And I wasn't really expecting that because I didn't think that patients would really care that much about how their crown is being made or any of those things. I thought it was more stuff that dentists are interested in, but I was wrong. I think it's changed the patient experience. And I think that's been the easiest way to get patients to agree to the treatment plan being proposed. So
Awesome.
I would say, yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, just that. I think it's more convenient for them.
Yeah. So would you say then that you have the patients like the idea that you're fully digital and able to do it in-house? That's created greater acceptance among them?
Yeah, it sounds funny because before I thought, what's the big deal? You'll just wear a temporary for a week or so and then come back. But I think that made it feel like a big deal to them or a big procedure. And when I tell them, hey, I can get this done for you in a day and, we'll do it all right here, they seem to be a lot more comfortable with that and more willing to accept the treatment.
Cool. So then has having the DWX42W changed the way you work in your practice?
it's changed a lot about the way I work. The first thing that I noticed was that my preps changed. I think they got, and I think for the better. Well, because you're now the lab tech that's dealing with, if your margins aren't clear enough, or if anything in your preparation. And I think that having that hands-on approach has brought a lot of things to my attention that, of course I knew, but now I'm much more particular about. So I think that has changed. I also have a lot more flexibility with my treatment. So being able to control the crown process, especially as a new dentist, I get asked a lot by patients, for example, oh, well, what if I pay for this crown and it breaks? And it's always annoying when you're dealing with a lab, because you might, obviously the answer is, well, I'll replace it for you.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with a lab, you don't know if you're going to get charged again. For me, it's so easy to say, yeah, I'll print you a new one. I'll mail you a new one. It's not really that big of a deal. Or even like if your crown comes back and your margins are open, maybe something happened during your impression stage that you find your margins are open. It's so easy to say, okay, I'll just redo it. It's all in my hands and in my control. And I don't have to worry about having that conversation with the lab and saying, hey, are you going to charge me again to make me a new crown? The margins are open. And then it gets into, well, whose fault was it? And that's just something that I get to avoid.
Yeah. Awesome. So now, do you have, I know you have experience using other type of technology too, right? In-house before? How would you say that this, the Trios and the DWX42W compared to other milling technologies that you previously used?
Okay, yes, I did have, so my first, this is my second mill. So my first mill, it was also a great mill, but it was not very reliable. I often felt like when I was putting the block in and hitting, play, I didn't always know if that crown was going to come out. And because there were just, and these things happen, you run into problems, right? And I think that was one aspect. It felt like problems were coming up a lot. And another aspect was that then there was no support to deal with it. And that's incredibly stressful when you have a patient in your chair and you're selling them on this technology, and you've told them that they're going to walk away with a crown that day. And then you have to go back to them and disappoint them and say,
yeah,
I can't give you what I promised today. It just looks so bad, and it makes your technology look bad and defeats the entire purpose of an in-house mill. And that was happening, because when I would call support, it would be like, okay, we can get this fixed in a week. And when I've been working with a Roland, not only do I not really, I never run into issues. It's very, very, very rare. And when they've occurred, I'm on the phone right away with someone and it gets fixed immediately. So I haven't had to send a patient home and say, I'm sorry, I can't do this for you today.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, those are some great things you've shared with us. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about your experience with the DWX42W and your digital workflow?
I mean, it's been very exciting. I think another thing that kind of why I chose this mill was the open platform. So now that we kind of have gotten into this, and it's been a very positive experience, there's so much other digital stuff coming up in the future that I really want to look into and integrate. And I think it's so important to have sort of that open platform so that I'm not worried about what technology is going to sync with what. So that's really exciting. And I think the other thing has been just patient response. Our practice, it's really kind of boosted our practice in their eyes. I think, patients see that you're keeping up to date, that everything is modern, and everyone wants to go to that practice. We even got on the local news actually about our CAD/CAM. So
Nice.
yeah, we've had a lot of patients come to us specifically for this technology. So I think, you know, it can be easy to be set in your ways of how we do things. And it's very, very intimidating because it's such a big investment. And then you worry about, am I really going to use it? But I think if you commit to that transition, you'll be really surprised how much technology can offer you and ways that your practice can grow that you might not have realized before.
That's a great point. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you, Dr. Ramirez and Christopher, for providing us some valuable information and insight on the DWX42W chairside milling solution. Now I'm going to hand it over to Ian O'Neill, Eastern U.S. Sales Manager for Roland DGA, DGSHAPE Americas. Ian's going to tell us all about the specifications of the DWX42W chairside milling solution. Ian?
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Lisa, for the introduction. My name is Ian O'Neill. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the DWX42W. The DWX42W is a 4-axis mill that accepts glass, ceramic, and composite resin blocks, as well as titanium blanks for custom abutments that utilize the CEREC universal mandrel. So there are some great features about this mill. It is a wet mill, which means it's great for your chair-side milling applications for crown-in-a-day type restoration. So let's get into some of the specifics about the machine itself. So some highlights of the machine are reduced air requirements compared to some other units out in the market today. The DWX42W only requires 44 PSI to be able to run the machine. It does not require a lot of air pressure, which would rob other parts of your business or practice of air pressure, which could potentially shut down operatories inside of your business. So we want to avoid that. So we make our machines minimally invasive to things like air pressure and air consumption. Improved milling speeds to our previous unit. We've done that by utilizing some different cutting strategies to reduce the time that it takes to cut out a restoration, as well as giving you some different tooling options, which we'll get into later. We've added LAN connectivity in the device. It's now available to connect through USB cable or LAN connectivity, which gives you the flexibility to place the machine in another part of your practice where it's away from the patients and they're not hearing the noise of the machine milling. So gives you some great flexibility and options there. And high quality milling burrs. So with the 42W, we are offering 2 different types of milling options. You have your standard milling option, which would be slightly faster, or your high quality milling option, which would be about 8 to 10 minutes longer to produce your restoration. But because these milling burrs are high quality, they're a finer grit, you're going to get better surface quality, better anatomy, better cavity detailed milling, as well as sharper margins. So it's up to the end user to decide, do I want a faster restoration or do I want to utilize the high quality tools and get the best restoration possible? So I've already mentioned the materials inside of the machine, but here we have the ability to mill glass ceramic blocks as well as composite resins. So something like your amber material, Emax, or even PMMA blocks, or something like a Vita anemic would be millable inside this machine, as well as titanium blanks for custom abutments. We've expanded the automatic tool changer. In our previous model, we only held 4 tools. Now we have 6. So we have some new optional tools for milling of smaller prep restorations or interproximals of long span bridges to get better detail inside of those milling areas. So we have that, or you have the option to put backup tools inside of your machine, which means once one of your tools has expired, you can have a backup tool for that, that burr, and the machine would pick it up the next time it needed that tool, okay? It's gonna keep your machine running longer with less downtime where you have to swap out tools. So great feature there. We've integrated the V panel. So previously from our machines, you had separate V panels. The V panel is the software, which is really the control for the machine itself. So it's going to tell it when to start milling, when to stop milling, when you need to do your maintenances, track your milling burr times, as well as your coolant inside of the machine. So now all of those are integrated into one V panel. There's no longer a separate wet or dry V panel. And we have the intelligent tool control, which I already explained, gives us the ability to swap out an expired tool to continue a milling job, okay? Included with the mill are all the accessories that you would need out of the box to get the machine running, other than distilled water, a PC to install the software on, and air pressure. So if you have a PC, an air compressor already, and a way to produce distilled water, virtually everything you need is inside the box to run this machine. So we have our coolant additive, which is our lubricant, our chelating agent, which prevents the ceramic particles from bonding to any metal surfaces, one set of filters, and one complete set of the high quality milling burrs as well. With this purchase, you are also going to include the CAM software. So the CAM software is bundled with the mill. There is no separate or additional purchase for that CAM software. Okay, so outside of the box, we want to make this as turnkey of a solution as possible for the end user so they can be up and running quickly. Quick specification review on the unit itself. Again, glass ceramic, composite resin or PMMA block, as well as titanium blank. Chris Cicero will be talking more about the titanium blank towards the end of this presentation. The spindle speed is up to 60,000 RPMs. We hold 6 tools at a time. The shank of the burr itself is 3 millimeters. You're able to connect through USB or LAN connectivity. The air consumption is 44 PSI. The operating noise is 70 decibels during operation, which is quite quiet compared to other units in the market today. So the machine is very quiet. Weighs about 135 pounds, important for when you're deciding what type of surface you're going to place this machine on. And its dimensions are here. Important for when you're figuring out where this is going to fit into your in-house lab or as a chairside solution. As always, with all of our devices, we include a 2-year trouble-free warranty with all of our devices. 1 year when it ships. You get the 2nd year activated as soon as you register that machine's serial number on our website. So that'll include travel time, repair parts for your device. It just does not cover consumable items. So that's all for our 42W today, and I'm going to pass it off to Chris Cicero, who's going to cover all of the accessories and options that we have going into the 42W. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Hi, everyone. So let's talk about 42W accessories. First up is the AK1 abutment kit. And this kit will allow us to go from pre-milled blank to custom abutment with our DWX 42W. How is this achieved? Well, the kit is an add-on accessory for the DWX 42W. On the left-hand side here, we can see the various pieces that come with the kit, including milling burrs as opposed to grinding burrs. And we have our different adapters on the right-hand side there. Each brand has its own proprietary shape. So Geomedi, Meddentica, and NT Trading, depending on which brand of pre-milled blank you like to use, will depend or will decide the adapter of your choice. From those brands, we support the different sizes that their pre-milled blanks come in. And those pre-milled blanks go on to support multiple CAD systems and multiple implant systems as well. We can see the pricing for our kit. The abutment kit and one adapter is under $1,500. So low investment there on this accessory. And in terms of costs, so ROI, what is this going to cost you? How quickly are you going to make your money back? So we've done some calculations here, figured out all the math, and in-house, you're going to be about under $100, depending on your cost of the blank. And outsourcing, obviously, it could vary with volume, but we asked around, and 175 seemed to be a good average. So you're saving, about $75 with each abutment you do in-house. And we see at the bottom there, over a day, week, month, and year, the savings that this accessory kit can bring to you. It's super easy to use. Step one, we just replace the top of our water tank tray with the screen filter to catch all the metal chips. Step two, we would put in the adapter holder for our brand of choice. And step three, we would mill. And speaking of milling, we do lathe milling. And what that means is that the abutment blank will turn continuously 360 degrees rotating. That gives you the best result as opposed to the traditional 180 where it's milled and then flipped over and milled again. Lathe milling is how you want to mill abutment blanks. So benefits of the kit, I think it's pretty straightforward. Save time and money, quicker turnaround, promote yourself as a full service lab. Clinics can do more in-house with their machine. Great ROI for it, a pretty low investment as well. Onto the filters. These are the second generation filters. If you are a user and you are using the first generation beige filters, I suggest you switch to these. These are 28% lower cost, and they also have a 1 micron filtering, which is a better filtering than the previous versions. So not only are they lower cost, but they are better. There are filters and caps. The caps are reusable. They just pop on and off, and the filters would be replaced at the same time increments. Now on to our 6-pin adapter, which we have here. This is a great piece that allows you to load up more material on your machine and be able to walk away from it. It's pretty straightforward. 6-pin allows you to hold 6 blocks of material at one time, and you can output all 6 and less hands-on, less labor on the machine itself. To use it, it's super easy. You would just first load your 3 blocks, then you would take your adapter here and you would load it with 4, 5, or 6 blocks, and then you simply attach it with 2 screws and you output. That accessory is $430 US, available now through your resellers. Now for our live Q&A, where myself and the team will be there to answer all of your questions.